records are now open. Okay, I've been seeing some weird things, so let me check in. I'm just okay. When I kind of see, at first I thought you might be Pleiadian, but I don't think so. I think you have a different kind of timeline than some of the rest of us. Okay. So this is going to sound weird. I'm getting that you're a parallel soul to a certain extent. Okay. But I'm getting that you actually have been incarnating backwards. Okay, so I know that sounds weird, but so let me explain what I mean by that. So you came from the future and you're incarnating in the past. Okay, I think that's why you're not able to remember a lot of your past soul memories, because there is no past for you. Okay, it's yeah, it's kind of like even your childhood is kind of muffled in this lifetime, because I know that sounds crazy, but it's like almost like you weren't supposed to remember, because there really wasn't a childhood. Okay, so this is weird. Okay, I don't get many souls like you. Like maybe one in every, I don't know, 200 clients, or maybe even 500 clients. But I think I only had one other lady that had a similar soul path. So what I'm seeing is, I think you do have you're kind of more of a hybrid soul. So in Earth's future, there is a race called the Yael. Okay, and they're a hybrid, I think, race between, I think, Earth humans, possibly gray aliens, and maybe even, I don't know, some other star races. And they look pretty much human, but they do have kind of an alien-esque look about them. And I kind of see that you came from that future human race. Okay, but I think the Yael, as far as your genetics, I think you come from mostly Lyra Pleiadian. Okay, genetics, but you. Okay, so this is going to sound weird. You came from a future Earth timeline. Okay, so I don't know much about the Yael. Okay, they're not a star race that pops up often in the waves of volunteers. So usually when I see a soul like yours, it's because you're time traveling backwards. Okay, maybe to change a future timeline. Okay, so maybe you're here trying to change a future timeline on some level. It's interesting because I do see a connection between you and Quinn. I think it's funny because in the higher dimensions there is no linear time, so I see timelines where you've had incarnations in the Pleiades, and so I do think. And I'm seeing mostly Taygeta. Okay. Taygeta is one of the stars in the Pleiades system. And I think that Quinn was incarnated in that star too. So at least one of the planets that, and I think the main planet in Taygeta is called Era. So that's ERRA. It's interesting because when I look at your soul path, it's not linear at all. You kind of bounce around. So it's like you've had incarnations in as Yael, then as Pleiadian, and then I'm seeing incarnations in Alpha Centauri, which is very close to Earth. So as far as your interests, are you more of a technical person, or are you strictly like spiritual healing? And there's a reason why I'm asking this. So just look at.
I do not like technology like at all, and definitely spiritual healing. We there seems to be like, it's like we don't get along. It doesn't work when I touch it.
Yeah.
It was a glitch all the time.
Yeah, I hear that a lot from third wavers. It's like you guys, where you came from, the technology was so advanced that, you come back here and it's like, oh my God, this stuff is so primitive. I can't even work with this. It's like it's like super primitive, and I can't.
That's so funny that you say that, because that's my number one thing. I'm like, it has one job and it's just supposed to work. Why doesn't it work?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, or why does it take 10 steps to do just something that's so easy? Why doesn't it just take one step and just do it, right? Or why can't it just read my mind and just do it? So
and just do it, yeah.
Yeah. That's because I think a lot of the third wave souls that incarnate on this planet, you guys came from very advanced societies, and where the technology was so way advanced that you come here to Earth and you're just like, what? It's like it's like a person from this day and age going back to the caveman days and looking at two sticks and figuring out, how do I make a fire out of this? So so it's very similar to that. So yeah, I do see you kind of bounced around in, I think, different timelines, different dimensions. So that's why I think you're more of a parallel soul. Because I'm just seeing kind of random incarnations in just some very specific star systems. So it's Pleiades, Taygeta, Alpha Centauri, a future Earth, which is a Yael, and then I'm just seeing. Let me take a look at this. Oh, that's interesting. Cassiopeia. Okay. Oh. Yeah, super interesting. But you weren't Lyran. I'm seeing you were. You came in, I think, to assist the Cassiopeians, but you weren't Cassiopeian. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so I have to figure that one out. And then I'm also seeing Apollonia. Okay, so that's another one. And I don't know, you've had some really random incarnations. So yeah, it's just like, I'm just going to go here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go there, and none of these really have any sort of linear process to them. It's like you just decide that I'm just going to incarnate here, I'm going to incarnate there. I'm going to incarnate in different dimensions, so maybe.
That just sounds like me.
Yeah, no, I think it is a lot like you. So you're a Cancerian, you're Cancer, but I think you must have some Gemini influences in your natal chart. Is that true?
My rising is Gemini.
Oh, okay, so that explains it. Okay, so yeah, so I kind of see. Okay, let me look at what you were doing in Taygeta, since that's the first incarnation that came up. So I think these incarnations are actually in the future. Okay, the Yael incarnation is the last incarnation you had before this one, which was actually in the future. Okay, I know that sounds weird, but and then it's kind of like you're going backward or you're going forward. So instead of me looking backwards at your timeline, I'm having to look forward. So from Yael, you went to Alpha Centauri, and then from Alpha Centauri, you went to Apollonia, and then to Apollonia, you went Pleiadian, and then Cassiopeian. Okay, and then I'm seeing Andromedan from there. Okay, so you're kind of taking this pathway forward instead of backwards. Yeah. So I'm trying to see why you chose to do this. Okay, because the only thing I can think of is okay. Okay, this is going to sound strange, but your guides are telling me that you're a timeline. You're a timeline shifter. So you go back in time to shift, I think, certain key elements so that things, I think, work out a little better. Okay, so it's not like you're changing time, but it's just you're changing the frequencies so that things flow a little easier. Okay. So I think because this is your core mission, you don't feel a need to really learn technology. There's no reason for you to even deal with technology because what you're doing doesn't require technology. It's something that you do as a soul. Okay. So you came from, I think, a very unique oversoul group that is comprised of parallel souls like yourself that go backwards and forwards in time. Okay. You kind of go more forward. Okay. Maybe some people in your soul group go backwards. Okay. So let's take a look at on Yael. Okay, I'm seeing that you were a scientist. Okay, but you were mostly working in the biological science. Okay. There was this is going to sound very strange. Okay, there was a certain timeline where all of the animals on planet Earth just died off inexplicably. Okay, and it was so in the timeline that you were in, you guys were trying to fix this, and you couldn't do it in your current timeline. You had to go backwards. Okay, so you decided to incarnate in this timeline. So I kind of see that you're going to be working mostly with animals rather than people. Okay, and I don't know if that's something that you feel as well, but
100% accurate.
Okay. Because I'm seeing.
Yeah, the goal is to like get property and have like 1/3 rescue for people, 2/3 rescue for animals.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So I think part of what your mission is to try to save some of the species of animals from dying out in your original timeline. Okay. So unfortunately, you knew as a Yael soul that if you were going to go backwards in time into the third dimension, because you came from like sixth dimension. Okay. So if you're going to go backwards in time in the third dimension, you're going to forget everything. Okay. And so I think this is why your oversoul or your higher self was saying, "Hey, it's time to have an Akashic reading."
Yeah, like okay.
It's like, okay, it's time to have an Akashic reading because you need to start remembering why you came here. So. Yep. And so I think that this was very timely, and we're doing this during the new moon, I guess, or the full moon, or I can't remember. You told me, but
new moon, yeah.
New moon, okay, and isn't today also Earth Day? It's also Earth Day, So
yes, it is.
Yeah, so it's like it had to be aligned on this specific day that you were supposed to have this reading, but I do see that you kind of there's something that you're supposed to do in this lifetime to prevent that future outcome from happening. Okay. And I think it's not going to be scary. It's not going to be bad. I do think you have a contract with Quinn because you two knew each other in the Pleiades. Okay, so her evolution's a little different than yours. She didn't come from the future. She came from the past. Okay, but somehow you two converged together in the Pleiades. I think you might have even been sisters in that lifetime, and so you created this contract that, hey, I'm going to Earth in the future, and you said, oh yeah, I'm going to Earth in the past, so we're gonna meet, we're gonna meet in the middle. So there was a reason why, you both ended up in Alaska. Okay. And it sounds like to me.
It's really funny that you say that.
What's that?
So Quinn and I were both raised here.
Yeah.
But we both left Alaska and we moved to Vegas around the same time, and we met for real in Vegas, and we spent time there together.
Mm-hmm.
And then she left Vegas shortly after we had met, and then went traveling, and then came back to Alaska, and then I just came back to Alaska about a month ago.
Oh, nice.
And now we're back here.
Oh, very cool.
Time. So it's just really funny.
Yeah, no, I think it was purposeful that you two had to be in Alaska for some reason. And I think it sounds to me like you already know. I think you intuitively know what you're supposed to be doing, but I think you're just trying to remember why. Okay. And so now you know why. Okay, so you. And I hope, with this reading that, maybe instead of looking backwards, you'll start looking forward and you'll start remembering, the future lives. And that's, brought you to this point.
Completely changed the direction I'm looking to. I think will help a lot too.
Yeah, no, I think that would help a lot, because I think if you're looking in the past and you don't really have a past, then you're going to come up, empty. It's like there's not going to be anything to really look towards. But if you're looking towards the future, then, as I said, you've had, lots of lives, moving forward in the future. So, yeah, I think that's, I definitely think that's going to help you a lot. So anyway, so that's the reason why you're on Earth now. Okay. Now, I think before you had your incarnation in Yael, you had an incarnation in Alpha Centauri. Okay, and it's funny because Yael is on Earth, so that's just like future Earth, and then Alpha Centauri is the star system closest to Earth. It's only located 3.7 light years from Earth, so so you had an incarnation in Alpha Centauri. I think on Alpha Centauri you were a artist and spiritual teacher, and I think mostly what you were doing there was, I think, helping the Alpha Centaurians get in touch with their creativity, because they're such a technical people that I think they tend to focus more on technology and less on creativity. So, but the art, I think it was kind of like art therapy, but there was a very spiritual overlay to the classes you were teaching them. Okay, so there was spiritual lessons that they had to accomplish through doing, I think, certain art projects. Okay, so it kind of sounded cool, actually. I wouldn't mind a job like that. That sounds pretty cool.
I know. I'm like, wait, this is amazing. And that's kind of what I'm trying to semi attach to this.
Yeah, no, I think that's and it was kind of like a thing you just came up with by yourself. So it wasn't like a modality that you learned from somewhere else. Well, actually, you did learn it from somewhere else. You learned it from Apollonia. So, yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay, so Apollonia was a place you went to after Alpha Centauri. So, yeah, you did learn it from somewhere. but I think you just created your own style, so, and it was such a big hit in Alpha Centauri that I think you might even implement it here in this, on Earth, in this timeline, because I think people here on Earth also need to get in touch with more of their divine feminine aspects and their creativity, and because everything here is so process oriented. Oh, you're supposed to go to school, you're supposed to get this respectable job and make money, blah blah blah. And
I 100%. That's exactly what I'm thinking too. Because I'm reading this, like, that sounds like the greatest job ever. I was like, that's what I'm trying to do here now. And as like you're like trying to bring creativity to it. Every time someone has a problem, I'm like, have you written about it or like drawn anything? have you like meditated about this? You know what I mean? Like, have you faced the shadows within? That's always the question to ask. So.
Yeah, no, I think that's and I think that's a modality that you're going to recreate here that is going to help a lot of people. And I think this whole COVID-19 thing that we've gone through right now is preparing us, I think, to change our societal norms. Okay, that we can't just be machines working all the time. Okay, so I think society is going to change a lot, and it seems like even with this, lockdown or quarantine, more and more people are getting in touch with home projects or hobbies, or they're doing things that they haven't done in years, because now they have the time to do it, because they're home all the time. So I think this is going to continue. It's going to continue to be, I think, a trend. That we're going to find, I think, more work-life balance. Where it's not just going to be work. Maybe if we're lucky, we get 2 weeks of vacation a year. It's not going to be like that anymore. Humans weren't meant to live like that. Okay, we were meant to.
Not at all.
Yeah, I mean, we were meant to live, wonderful creative lives where we can pursue what we love and be supported in it, which is what they created that in the Pleiades. Okay, so we need to create that.
Yeah.
Here on Earth. So in Alpha Centauri, that's what you were doing. You were helping these Alpha Centaurian people to reconnect with their divine feminine aspects, which was their creativity. From there, you had an incarnation in Apollonia. Okay, so Apollonia is a small star system located in the constellation of Taurus, so it's not that far from the Pleiades. It's mainly a place where people incarnate into and totally express their creativity, with no.
Wait, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You said that it was in the constellation of Taurus.
Taurus, yeah, Taurus.
The sign.
Yeah, Taurus the sign. Yeah, the bull. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. That's what we're in right now. That's what new moon is in right now.
Yeah. So. So and the Pleiades is also in Taurus. So we're going to be talking about the Pleiades too. So so Apollonia is this wonderful little star system that is mostly focused on creativity. And the Apollonians, basically, they just live to create. There is no government, there is no work, there is no army, there's no Starfleet. Yeah. It's just, they're just living to create and express themselves. Okay, so it's a very unique star system. I don't know if they're really members of the Galactic Federation because they don't really have a government, but I think, I see, souls like yourself that have had incarnations in Apollonia, so I kind of think that there is an aspect of them that decided to get involved with the Earth Ascension Project, but maybe in their own way, okay? So in Apollonia, people just painted, or they wrote, or they wrote poetry, or they danced, or they created music, and they would have, a lot of celebrations that they would just get together and share their music or their craft, and they loved to express themselves with their clothing. So, a lot of their clothes were quite colorful, and, they just, I kind of see like a steampunk kind of thing with their clothing, but it's very creative, and, they just like to express themselves that way. From Apollonia, you had incarnations in the Pleiades. Okay, so we're moving forward again. So in the Pleiades, okay, that's where you connected with Quinn. Okay, so you two have had this contract with each other. I'm not sure if Quinn was in Alpha Centauri or Apollonia or even Yael, but you definitely reconnected with her on Earth in this timeline. Okay. So from the Pleiades, okay, you this is like I said, this is future Pleiades, but also past Pleiades. It's kind of like in the Pleiades there is no linear time, so it kind of makes sense. But so you were incarnated in Taygeta, and Taygeta is actually a very technical star system. There's a lot of Starfleet command. I don't think you were involved with that, though. Okay, so just because you were on Taygeta, that doesn't necessarily mean that you were automatically this Starfleet, person that was traveling the stars. They had a lot of other, work on Taygeta too. Now a lot of my Taygetan Pleiadians do work in technology. I mean, that's pretty much the trend, but I think, again, what you were doing in Taygeta was, I think you and Quinn, okay, and this is, I don't know why I'm seeing this, but I think you two used to be like animal doctors, okay, which would be like veterinarians, okay. You would, and this is the timeline that you were in with Quinn. So it was almost like you had you had a lot of land, okay, which I think is what you're trying to create in Alaska, okay, right now. And not that the animals in the Pleiades were mistreated or anything, but I think basically what you did was you guys took care of animals. So if somebody was having some problems with their animals, they'd bring them by. There was many animals I think were, you were providing refuge for, so there was, so it was kind of like the Garden of Eden, in Taygeta. So it was just, I just see rolling hills, a few little houses that I think you lived in one house, Quinn lived in the other house, and then there was, other buildings where, if there was animals that needed, medical assistance, you would take them there. It was just kind of this idyllic, kind of life, where. Now I think Quinn did leave to join the Galactic Federation. So I think she left long before you did. Okay, she was just like, I'm ready for a new adventure. I'm going to do something different. It was kind of like in Alaska where or no, it was Las Vegas. So you're telling me where you guys kind of met each other in Las Vegas, and then she left and traveled the world,
Yeah, she went and traveled, yeah.
Yeah, and then, you kind of stayed behind, and So I think in a way, even though you're a parallel soul, I think you have this sense of, wherever I'm at, I need to settle in and create some roots, and maybe that's the Cancer in you, but or I think you also feel this sense of responsibility of taking care of other beings, so I think that's part of it too, and that you can't just abandon them, so I think when Quinn left, you decided to stay behind and continue to do what you did. So let's see, what was after Pleiades? I think it was Cassiopeia. Okay, so like I said, you kind of jumped around quite a bit. So Cassiopeia is... it's a really interesting looking constellation. It kind of looks like an M or a W, depending how you look at it. But it's not really a physical reality there.
Okay.
So I think... So this is interesting because I've always seen Cassiopeia in the past, like during the Lyra Draconian Wars, but I've never seen it in its future. And I'm seeing that they're starting to make settlements in Cassiopeia, and it seemed like for a while the Cassiopeian cat people shifted into other dimensions because they felt like, well, we're no longer needed, we're going to explore some other dimensions. But what I'm seeing in that lifetime is that, this future timeline, is that there was some new settlements that were being created in Cassiopeia, and that there were beings living on Cassiopeia, which was really interesting. And they were kind of a mix of human and cat people, so so there was some... Yeah, this is really super interesting because I haven't seen this before. I never looked at Cassiopeia in the future, I guess, but yeah. So you're helping me learn some things too. So it looks like we're going to recreate Lyra and Vega. We're going to recreate Cassiopeia, and I'm seeing these beautiful cat beings that they're kind of coexisting with some more humanoid-looking people, and it kind of... I'm just seeing cities that look very futuristic. They look kind of... They have like a golden glow to them. I don't know why when I see Cassiopeia, I associate kind of it with yellows and oranges for some reason. That's just the frequency color I see associated with Cassiopeia. So that's so I think you're going to be one of the people that's going to help rebuild Cassiopeia. Okay, so that's a whole different. So I think you're going to be taking, I guess, some of the things that you learned in your prior lifetimes in the future to the Cassiopeia new settlements. Okay, your future incarnation that I can see in the records is in Andromeda. Okay, so I see Quinn's going to join you in Andromeda. Okay, I think she might even join you in Cassiopeia. So I think you two have this contract that transcends time. Okay. I'm not sure what you're doing in Andromeda, so let me take a look at that. This is Andromeda in the future. Which again, Andromeda is like the Pleiades. There is no linear time there, so it doesn't really matter if we're, in the future or the past. It's just one time. I think by then, Yeah, I think you're going to be quite evolved. So in your future incarnations, you go higher in dimension each time. So I'm seeing you in kind of more of a light body form in Andromeda. So this is kind of like far off in the future. Okay. But it's also, I think, your origins in a way. So your origins wasn't Yael, that was just you moving backwards. Okay. Your origins was actually Andromeda. Okay, which is actually also your future. Okay, so which doesn't make any sense. Okay, but we can't think of this linearly. So this is how you started off, and it's Andromeda constellation. Okay, it's not Andromeda galaxy, but you're like a light being. So you're kind of an elemental in a sense, and I think Quinn also has elemental background. Okay. But for Quinn, it's going to be her future. For you, it's kind of like your future and your past. But so I think you're doing like very big galactic work. And I can't really describe it because I don't really understand what it is that you're doing. I just kind of see a lot of frequency change, like you're changing frequency. Like I remember I said before, you're kind of like a frequency shifter. Okay. And so I think that's where that came from, was from, that lifetime. Okay. That you're going to be moving back to. Okay. This Earth that you're in right now, I don't really see any prior lifetimes on Earth with you. Okay. I think that's why you were having a hard time remembering. Yeah. So you weren't in Atlantis, you weren't in Egypt, you weren't in any past lives on Earth. This is your past life on Earth. Okay. So this is.
That's crazy.
So I think this is why you're having a hard time remembering anything that's associated with this planet. Okay. Now I think if you look forward, you're going to start remembering the Yael. Okay. And I'll try to send you a picture of what they look like. I think Vashta did some really nice illustrations of them, but they look quite young. I mean, when you look at them, they look like children, but they're grown-ups. Okay, they look quite young. When I look at them, I think, oh my God, they look like they're like, 8 years old, and they're probably like 50 years old. But yeah, I don't know very much about their culture except that, and I have to look in the records here. So I'm sorry if I'm jumping around a little bit. It's just I think that's how your timeline is. You've jumped around a lot.
Yeah, like it sounds how the directions I took were side to side, not really.
Yeah, no, I just see you kind of bouncing around. So I do see they're part of the Federation. Okay, so they carry that into the future. They're a very benevolent race, very loving, probably one of the most loving races I think you could ever encounter.
This is the Yael?
Yael, yeah. Very highly psychic, okay, super psychic. I do see them. They do work on ships, okay. They have starships. They have technology. A lot of their technology seems very seamless, like they just think of something, and I think that's the way it is when you're in the sixth dimension, is that you just think of something and it manifests. It's just like, I think that's why you're frustrated with technology in this timeline, because, like we were saying before, because you're used to just thinking something and it just happens, and so you come here and you're like, I got to do what? It's like,
yeah, there's more layers to this.
I know. It's like, what? How many? What? So I think it's just, you're just like, I don't know. I can't handle this. I'm just used to thinking of something and it just happens. Just like, so it's real. Your reading's really interesting because I can't look at your past here on Earth because there is no past. Okay. This is your only lifetime in third dimensional Earth. Okay. So probably when you were growing up, or maybe even now, you probably feel very weird being here. It just feels like, like everything's so primitive and so dense.
Outdated is the word that I feel. I'm like, why? I always, I'm like, why do people think like this? Since I was very small, I've said that. Why do you think like that? Why are we living like this?
Yeah, it just seems like it's so primitive, right? Like why does everything have to be so hard?
Yeah.
Why are people suffering so much? Those are always questions that I think a lot of us starseeds ask. Why is there so much suffering on this planet? Why are people in bad health? Why is there poverty? Why is there people that don't a lot of people that don't have enough, and some people that have too much. So so I think that's what we came here to change. You're here mainly, I think, to support animals. Okay, so I think you'll be doing some work with people, but I think most of what you came here for was to protect the animal races, the species, because there's too many animals that are going extinct, on this planet, and it's kind of a shame. And I know some people talk about how these species are just transitioning to another dimension, that sort of thing. But I think you're here to just save as many animals as possible. Okay, and I do think that's going to be your life's work. Okay. So I don't know if you thought about any kind of training that you're going to do to do work with animals, or if you've even gotten that far yet. But I do.
The idea would be like rescue training for women with the property, because my focus is self-sufficiency and being able to be a rescue on the property that we have. That would be.
Yeah, I also see you though maybe training in some different modalities that supports animals, like maybe Reiki for animals or animal communication, that sort of things.
I'm Reiki certified, actually. I do Reiki on my dog.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well then I guess you got that one covered. Okay, so
there we go. All right.
Yeah, no, see, you're ahead of me. So no, that's awesome. So I think you'll continue, and maybe you'll even learn, other things you can do to help support animals in their healing process. But yeah, I think it's going to be mainly rescue work. That you're going to. Now, are you going to work with all types of animals, or just dogs and cats, or
I would be. I feel very open to all kinds. I would be very willing to learn about all different types of animals.
Yeah, I kind of see. Yeah, I kind of see you're going to have a lot of animals and a lot of different kinds. It's going to be like I don't know, like Noah's Ark in your property. There's going to be goats and I don't know, elephants, and I see all kinds of animals. Yeah, it's going to be kind of interesting. Maybe elephants are a stretch because I don't think they'll do well in Alaska, but I think you'll have quite a variety of animals that can live in that type of environment. Now I'm not very familiar with Alaska. Do they have some months where things are relatively warm there, or because I know it's Yeah, I know it's cold sometimes, or a lot of times there, but
And it's warming up actually with global warming and everything. It's been warming up quite a bit. So this summer's supposed to be 30% hotter. And actually, last 4th of July was like the hottest day recorded in Alaska history.
oh wow, amazing.
Yeah.
So maybe
so
the climate
the
there is
supposed to be, like,
changing.
it is. It definitely is.
Wow. Do you think that's because of what they call it, global warming, or you just think it's just a natural shift? Or gotcha. Okay.
I definitely think that it's warming up at a very excessive rate. Like it's going really, like, you could see the glaciers falling apart out here. It's kind of crazy.
Wow. So anyway, do you have any questions, or is there anything that I haven't answered yet that I can help you with?
I think so pretty much what's going on is, like, we're saying that origin was in Andromeda, or am I saying that right?
Yeah, Andromeda was your origins, but it was in the future.
And then we went backwards.
Yeah, then you went backwards. You went
backwards.
you went backwards. Yeah.
Cassiopeia, Pleiades, Apollonia,
Alpha Centauri, Yael, and Earth.
And then Earth, and then it would be transcending back through the future, going through time.
I think you'll, because I'm trying to see where you'll go from here. So that's what I'm kind of wondering. I think you're going to go back to the future from here. So I don't think you're going to go backwards in time on Earth from here.
Can I tell you what I've been saying since I, like, started consciously pursuing?
Oh yeah, no, this is your reading. Please share. Yeah.
This is my last physical lifetime. I've told a lot of people that. I've shared that with a lot of people. This is the last, like, I'm transcending. I'm here to do what I'm supposed to do, and I'm gonna do it. Now, I don't know what that is all the way yet, but I'm transcending after this. And I thought that was because I had put my time in the past already or something. You know
No, your contract was just to come to this particular timeline. Yeah, there was no past.
And then bounce.
Yeah, so that's so your contract is just for this lifetime in the third dimension. So this is your only third dimensional life that you've ever had. Like I said, that's why I think you feel really strange here, because it's because you're not used to such a low density. Okay, and I don't even think Quinn is used to such a low density, although I think she might have had some lifetimes on Earth. So in a way, you and her are a little bit different, but it's like you two came from the same soul group, but with a different expression. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like you're kind of like opposites, but yet very similar. It's interesting. So I don't see you going backwards in time on Earth after this, because there would be no need, because we would be ascending. So so your job would be finished. So I think you're going to probably move forward to Yael and then move forward from there, so so it's going to be and everything's going to be higher dimensional, so it's going to be a lot better, a lot nicer. You'll feel a lot more comfortable, so it'll be back to the way you feel like it should be. And okay. As far as guides, everybody always asks me about that, so I'm going to bring that up. Your guides are your original soul family from Andromeda that are these light beings. They kind of look like light angels. Okay. I also see some Yael guides and some Pleiadian guides. So I think so the Yael, like I said, I'll send a picture so you can kind of visualize what they look like, and then I see some I see some Pleiadian guides, but they look quite. I don't know. They don't look like Taigetans. They look very fairy-like. Interesting. They're like Pleiadian elemental beings. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because Taigetans are basically human-looking. And a lot of times you see them wearing jumpsuits. I don't see anybody that looks like that. That's your guide. Yeah, so these are, I think, Pleiadian elemental beings. They were probably beings that were helping you on your big, animal farm in the Pleiades. Okay, so yeah, I don't see like the typical angels. Like a lot of my other clients, they have a lot of angelic guides or they have ascended master guides. I don't see any of that with you. You have very unique guides. So I do think you share some Pleiadian guides with Quinn. Okay. You and Quinn are like sisters. I don't know. It's like you guys are... It's like your destinies are intertwined with each other, but she's a very different expression than you are. Okay. Because she kind of followed a more traditional path. You followed a very weird path, okay? So
sounds about right.
Yeah. Anything else I can help you with today?
I guess a visual of the guides would be very interesting. Could you so I guess I'm not really understanding how the beings from the planet constellations, the other places, are my guides. I just would like an.
You're talking about Andromedans or the Pleiadians?
Yeah, just and are they? So I understand that they exist in different dimensions.
Yeah, they're in the higher dimensions. So they're they're your guides, but it's like they're here with you, but they're not here with you. Okay, so it's kind of like they have like there's a kind of an energetic cord that connects you with them. Okay, but so they're kind of anchoring you in the higher dimensions. Okay, so. So it's like you're in a physical form here on Earth, and your guides are in the higher dimensions, but they are able to communicate with you probably through your higher self, okay, that is also in the same dimension as they are. And because you have this silver cord from you to the higher self passes the messages to you. Okay, so that's the easiest way I can describe it. Okay. No, 100%. And it probably doesn't work exactly like that, but that's the only way I can kind of describe it in kind of a tangible sense. Because your guides are not human. Okay. The Pleiadian ones are not even human. Okay. They're elemental souls. They have a humanoid form. Okay, so they have 2 legs and 2 arms and a face, but they're not human. Okay, so they're not like Pleiadian humanoid beings. The Yael are the most human, I think, but they're more of a hybrid race. Okay, so they're not completely human. The Andromedan guides that you have are definitely not human. They're light beings. Okay, so they don't even have a humanoid form. They're just like light angels. They're comprised of light. So that's your guides. Okay, so let me see if there's anything else that your guides or your higher self or anything they want you to know before we wrap things up today. Unless you have some more questions.
I guess the only thing, there was one more thing with the Yael, or you said we're humans, great aliens, and star races combined?
Yeah, there's some sort of, I don't know much about them, so let me do a little research and I'll share with you what I find out. But they're kind of a blend of different star races. So they're hybrid. Okay, so they're not like completely Earth human. Okay, and when you look at their faces, there's a very alien-esque look. I mean, they look human, yet they don't. Okay, their eyes are larger. They have, I think, I don't know, kind of pointy chins, and but other than that, they look human. You know. So, like I said, I'll share a picture once I can find something, and I'll share it with you. Other than that, let's see. Your guides are saying that that you're not really supposed. You're kind of here more as a kind of a frequency. You're here to hold certain frequency, and you're here to, I think, just follow your own path. So they say that throughout your lifetime here on Earth, that you're not really going to get involved with the Earth people's dramas. You know, that's not your path. Okay, you're not here to help solve the problems of Earth humans. You're here to help the planet and to help the animals. Okay, and they say it's really hard, I think, sometimes to maintain a higher frequency when you're having to deal with 3D everyday stuff. But basically what they're telling you is that that you're not meant to be sucked into any earth karma. And that's why you're only contracted for one life in the third dimension.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. Well,
thank you so much. That actually makes so much sense for me.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, Yeah, it was kind of unusual because I was trying to connect with your auric field when I was, connecting my heart chakra to yours, and I really didn't quite recognize your frequency, so I'm glad the records kind of explained it for us. So yeah, so that's really super interesting. Well, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do a closing prayer, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day in Alaska. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I would like to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion. I would like to thank the lords of the Akashic records for their point of view, and I would like to thank the Holy Spirit of Light for all knowledge and healing. The records are now closed. Amen. The records are now closed. Amen. The records are now closed. Amen.